Okay, the United Kingdom is to introduce a 14-day quarantine for international flights, plus updates in Ireland. And joining us from our EBC Ireland Bureau is Rowana Bianca. Hello, Rowana.
Hi, Alma. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us today. What are your updates from Ireland?
So, my updates from Ireland are work has begun on preparations for a second wave of COVID-19 in the Republic of Ireland this autumn or early winter. It was reported from BBC that phase one of easing restrictions was going well with broad compliance across the country. Leo Varadkar, the Taoiseach, or the Irish Prime Minister, told the Dáil or the Irish Parliament. But he added that it still requires continued vigilance, as Irish Health Minister Simon Harris advised that the R number is down to 0.5. R is referred to the average number of people someone with COVID-19 is expected to infect after contracting the virus. Mr. Varadkar also defended the pace that Ireland is taking, which is slow and steady approach. Speaking about preparations for a second wave of coronavirus in the autumn, Mr. Varadkar said, "We need to know, if possible, how to better protect nursing homes." Ireland can now perform 100,000 tests a week and a turnabout time for most cases of 1 to 3 days. Cabinet will decide on the 5th of June if the second phase of the relaxation due on the 8th of June will be moved. This will mean that the current 5-kilometer travel limit is to be extended to 20 kilometers, and other business in which social distancing can be followed will reopen. In terms of infrastructure, he said COVID-19 is going to impose extra cost. It's going to cost more to do less, he said. He told the Dáil that it is still necessary to continue with substantial borrowing. Also, according to BBC, Mr. Varadkar said the Republic should follow the example of Northern Europe countries. Interest will have to be paid, and it was not guaranteed that low inflation and interest rates would continue. There's no such thing as free money, he said. He also said many parts of the Irish economy might not be the same again, and Brexit complicates the matter even more. There will also be updates from the government on travel measure at airports and ports. He announced, regardless of anyone's nationality, when you come through an airport or port, now you will need to fill out a passenger's location form, whereby a person is asked to self-isolate for 2 weeks and provide the state with an address where they will be self-isolating. This is the land of the Céad Míle Fáilte, 100,000 welcomes, but now is not the time for non-essential travel, he said. Meanwhile, Northern Ireland Secretary Brandon Lewis confirmed Friday that Britain is to introduce a quarantine period of 14 days for those arriving in UK, and said further details would later be given by the ministers. For the UK citizens coming back, they'll be able to quarantine at home. For visitors, they will need to make arrangements to do the quarantine for 14 days. The plans are expected to come into force next month, and further details would be outlined by Home Secretary Priti Patel at the daily Downing Street briefing. Lewis said this policy would be reviewed every 3 weeks. They could be fined £1,000 if they fail to self-isolate for 14 days. There are expected to be exemptions for road haulers and medical officials, while the common travel area with Ireland will be unaffected. But it is thought that arrivals from France will have to quarantine, despite claims earlier this month there would be an exception. The move is likely to prove controversial, especially among the aviation sector. Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary earlier this week branded a proposed quarantine plan idiotic, while trade body Airline UK has said it would effectively kill international travel to the UK. There has been criticism within the UK about the lack of quarantine, while other countries such as South Korea, Spain, and the US did impose such restrictions, while others are questioning why the measures are being imposed now. Meanwhile, the scientific advice given to the government, which informed plans to send some pupils in England back to school, will be published later. It comes after more than 35 councils warned that not all of the primary schools will be ready to reopen on the 1st of June. On Thursday, Health Secretary Matt Hancock said a new coronavirus test that gives results in 20 minutes, is being trialed. The swab test, which would show whether someone currently has the virus, does not need to be sent to a lab. He also said more than 10 million antibody tests that check if someone has had the virus in the past will begin to be rolled out next week. Latest figure shows that 36,042 people with the virus have died in the UK. Back to you, Alma.
So, Rowana, how are you doing? How are you coping right now over there in Ireland?
With myself and my family pool, we're doing well over here. We continue to comply with the instructions of the government with regards to social distancing, and as much as possible, we're following by working from home. So we're very good here, keeping
So
healthy.
you're still working from home?
Yes, but most of the weeks in a month, I work from home.
But
Sometimes.
what businesses have opened already in Ireland?
Looking within our town here, po, a number of shops have opened where they've implied the one system rule within the shops,
And
along with constant social distancing. Po.
all right. Okay, thank you so much for your time, Rowana, and keep the updates coming from Ireland. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alma. I'm Rowana Bianca Arino, correspondent in the Republic of Ireland, and we live in interesting times.